Okay, so hello, welcome everybody to our BG5 Live of this week, episode number 152, April 19th. And today we're going to talk about trouble at the beginning. And Linda and I, we have the Dutch Human Design Symposium, the first Dutch Human Design Symposium coming up this Saturday. So we were just discussing how we had a little bit difficult to start to create our presentation because of all our other obligations and clients and students and whatsoever. Anyway, so today it is in Trade 3, Trouble at the Beginnings, Quality 4. So last week I was very enthusiastic in promoting the mini summit that we were going to do the next day. But actually, we decided to reschedule it as it just didn't feel right, to be honest. And it was a little bit pressured in between a lot of stuff. So we have moved it to, and it says here April 13th, but we have moved it to May 4th. So actually, it now says May 4th on the when you go to our special programs on the website. And so please join us all. It will be very interesting. The 4 essential truths for 4 presentations on to help you navigate the changing times. All right, so to take a look at April and where we came from and where we're heading, we are halfway April 19th. So April is all about the shock of completing an old cycle and beginning a new one. So there may be difficulty at the beginning. That's where we are at right now in the middle of the sentence. So take care of yourself first as you rationalize the change. So what we had was control in trait 21, to justify the necessary use of power in overcoming interference. And then we had the initiation, shock, and that's where I came, boom, back into BG5 Live and doing April. Arousing empowers the direction of love. And last week we took a look at completing a cycle, growth. Completing a cycle is the heart of growth. You can only, build on top of previous learnings and grow further when you complete a cycle. Today we're going to take a look at ordering, difficulty at the beginning, mutation. And then next week, nourishment, the care for oneself first in trait 27, and the week after, rationalization. Trait 24, the return. Inspiration must be given a rational form. So as we can see, we have trait 3 with the grounding in trait 50 this week. And it's not only trait 3, but we have the full strength as truth and transformation is in trait 60 for an extensive period of time. So we have the pressure to mutate, to start things and take what is good from the old and morph it into the new, right? And then also with these breakthrough insights, so a lot of individual creative mutative power in our environment. Anything any of our panelists would like to share?
Yeah, to me, just this introduction, it's fascinating because this is the process of springtime. To me, as we go through all these traits, without getting into full detail, I can talk about it in a minute, but these are the parts of springtime. This is April. For a lot of people, it's planting. For a lot of people, it's mating, and nature. There's a lot of this progression, I think, is fascinating because you have to finish one cycle before the next one starts. You need a certain use of power, a shocking, the springtime, sometimes there's bursts of energy, and the heart of growth is, that transition from finishing a cycle to starting a new one. And that's where we are today, is starting a new cycle.
Yeah. Anything for you, Shelley or Linda? No, let's just go move on. Yeah, so it's beautiful. There may be a lot of creative things and a lot of innovative things happening this week, right? With all of this creative, mutative breakthrough insights. So today's theme is trait 3 of ordering, difficulty at the beginning. So the ability to transcend confusion and establish order so that something new and potentially viable can take hold. And actually, it's really, I really like this image. It so represents very visual ordering. So individual expression and unique knowing that through example changes others. As this is in the individual circuitry, it's always about empowerment, being an example and being a force for change. It's also a format trait, a format strength. So it's very powerful in being an example. There is this mutation that is generated and empowered. That's the force behind it, as it is also in the energy resource, trait in the energy resource. It's generated and empowered. It operates in an on-off creative pulse where the potential for something new is neither logical nor experiential. It is really, creating something new, and you cannot control it, right? It is there or it is not. So it's nothing happening, it's nothing happening. Oh, something's happening, right? So an on-off pulse. It whenever the 60 releases something, the 3 can then start to create something new. So you cannot predict, control, or rush the moment. It has truly its own timing. Patience is needed to accept the occasional bursts of energy and the limited releases of potential. So the limited releases of potential come from trait 60. And you may experience melancholy when you feel that nothing is happening. So I first like to give the floor to Anna. As Anna, I know you have trait 3 in your design, and I'd love for you to share about this trait.
I like this trait now.
Now.
Being older, I didn't always understand it. And the energy of it is how would I say? I have confusion in the trait of 64 as well. That is the trait, another trait of confusion. So to me, I've learned how to sort of work my way through both ends of confusion. One is very physical, one's very mental. And to me, the more physical one is the 3. And the way I understand the 3 is mostly through nature, through gardening, through seasons, through learning, especially through gardening, what's viable and what isn't, because the 3 is all about sort of understanding, like the little diagram with you, the example, the picture a minute ago, of all the parts and then the barrier and then the ordering. A lot of people identify with that barrier or that thing that won't move yet. And that can be really confusing and frustrating, but it's in the timing that's outside of will and human energy. It's a natural energy. And a little example of that is many years ago, I was sprouting some seeds on my dining room table, which got some sun. And they were poppy seeds, and they can be a little bit tricky, poppy flowers. They can be a little tricky to try to germinate. I always like to germinate things outside naturally in the soil, but these were in a little, little potted flat. And I was about to go on vacation. So I was hoping these things would germinate, so I was watering, doing all the stuff, and they just wouldn't come up. So I kind of went, oh, well, maybe they're not viable. And I had a friend who was house sitting, and it happened to when I left, we happened to have a heat wave. So when I came, so he was, you know, making sure everything was watered and stuff. He didn't fiddle with it. But when I came back, they were all about an inch high because the heat from the window onto the little flat, nature took its course and they just kaboomed. You know, they just, all of a sudden I came back, I was shocked because I thought they were goners. And that's kind of how this energy works, is even though it's a general, and I have open, obviously open energy resource. So sometimes I go into shadow understanding how energy resource works, and I work too hard at something or whatever. So this was a really organic, it's like, oh, all we needed was a little extra heat. You know, and nature provided that. I got out of the way literally because I went on vacation. I wasn't there to watch. And all the elements were in place. And that's really how this works to me. In a minute, we can talk about the 60, because both of my kids have the 60. So it's a process.
Yeah, interesting. And Shelley, I know you have the full strength, and thank you for sharing the example of nature. It's actually the potential then released, right, for it to take hold and for you to then kind of organize the new.
Oh, that's so fascinating, Anna, to look at. Our designs are in these 4 traits, the 360 and the 6447. We're the opposite. So I have the full strength, but I only have 47. So I too understand this confusion. I get what you're talking about and whenever I'm starting anything new, there's a ton of confusion, lots and lots of confusion while I learn about the pieces that are all part of the puzzle. And then my brain hurts for a while until the 47 makes sense of it. Yeah. And I can literally feel my brain like working on it. And even when I don't, try to force it or anything, it still hurts. But then I'll get the breakthrough within a bit of time. And when I think about this, the 63 being a format energy, and it really literally is what drives me in my life. My husband often says to me, why do you have to keep changing everything? But to me, change is growth. And so I have, and it's in my judge and discipline. If I have to be careful, or change happens to me if I'm not, really paying attention to it and utilizing this properly. I've typically worked in very large organizations. And one of the reasons I chose the field of IT was because I knew it would be constantly changing and growing. And I needed that stimulation otherwise I would be bored to tears. So I needed that constant change. But even in that field of IT, you're dealing with newly emerging technologies and people don't like to change. So a lot of my focus was on really sensing what the people want and being able to bring change in a way that people could adapt to it. I learned early on in my life, I was constantly trying to change things. As a teenager, I was, hey, I should try this new thing. And everybody would look at me strangely. Like, I'm also a 3-5, so I'm always pioneering something new. And so it took a little while to figure out that not everybody likes to change and they don't like me telling them they should. So I learned that early on. But what I really recognized in some of the bigger projects that I did in the last, 5 years or so, it can take forever for things to be ready to change, for that sunshine and all the right elements to be in place. And I would feel the change coming. I feel change coming all the time. And I'm excited about BG5 because I feel the change that this is bringing. And I know in one of the last big projects I did, it took, it may have taken longer on paper to get the project done, but I felt my way through the whole thing. And I knew I couldn't have done it in any other fashion. I could feel the resistance if I tried to push it. And I could sense that even though I wanted it to go faster, I could sense that the elements weren't all there to support it. The people weren't ready for it. The stuff wasn't in place for it yet. And so it was really, that was probably the best project I did, where I was allowed to just follow my own instincts and intuition on it and know when to push and when to wait. And in the end, we ended up with a much more solid system in place that people could pick up and use right away. And because we really took the time to make sure the timing was right before we released each piece of it. And so that was a kind of a felt experience that I had of how this really works when you're going with the flow of it and not trying to force it to happen, because that pressure is, you're right. It's there when it's there, but when it's there for as long as it takes for the change to come through. So the pressure can be consistent until the change actually gets put into place. And so I constantly feel driven by it. I feel driven by it or pulled forward by it, that, nope, we got to get on this. I feel the pressure to make the change happen. And feel it coming and feel the timing that, nope, it's time. We got to do this. So
it's interesting, actually, that you share that it's not like it's on and then off and then it's not there anymore. But once it's on, once it's released, the potential is released, then the new will unfold.
Yes.
And then it may take as long as it takes.
Exactly. Like I said, the last project took a couple of years to actually get through the whole process of bringing it through. So I do love this. It feels like a really core part of who I am, and especially in a large organization. It's part of what I'm here to do. And this is just my brain all the time. I know it. I know it's going to get to that organization, but when I'm starting something new, it's this massive swirling parts all over the place. And I love that process of organizing it all, of getting it put into place. That feels so satisfying for me to get it all ordered and put into place.
We're so happy with you.
Efficient.
So Shelley is also with me assisting in the. So Shelley, for one, is now the office administrator, and two, you're assisting me in the OC16, and we have a particular software in place, but it's in development, right? There is no software developed yet. There was no software developed for OC16 at the time that Ra was still around. So and with all of your background in organizing this, it's a complex construct, because we're actually trying to put the world into the computer. So it's really fun. And actually, we just before this BG5 Live, we talked about innovation, right? So this is the leadership strength of innovation that you have in a large organization as well. So,
well,
and wonderful. Yes,
I
Anna.
wanted to add something in this diagram. It's great. But what happens organically, and again, it's not will, this is nature working. It's our biology, it's our chemistry, it's all those, the things that we can't control. And in this little image here, the way I see it is the pulse kind of presses against that line in the middle. It'll pulse, we don't know, but eventually, at least this is my experience, it'll feel like a barrier for a while. And if I move gently, wait through action, it's not frozen. But if you do other things, if you muse, if you stay creative, you stay flexible, those are all things I had to learn. This straight line begins to gently, organically, just like in nature, it begins to become a funnel. And, if you think of something, a birth canal, even something like a pimple, or something on your skin, eventually you break through this thing that seems like a barrier, but it's actually containing the pressure on purpose. And nature will take care of this barrier if you are relaxed with it. And then
patience, yeah.
Pardon?
No, patience, that's what Shelley said. And
yeah, but if you're patient, and patient isn't just a static thing, you have to be doing something else in order to be patient, moving in some other fashion. But this straight line becomes a very narrow funnel, and then it begins to open up, and all the energy just organically becomes right into place. That's how I look at this process, because it is a process. And I agree, Shelley, it takes a long time for this thing to happen, but it opens up naturally.
Yeah. And you're so right, Anna. And that just the thing that was coming to mind as I was finishing speaking there too, was what I was feeling, that it is a birthing process. And whenever you're bringing something new into place, there's the gestation period, the time that it takes for it to all, get everything lined up, and all the pieces growing in the right direction in order for it to birth into the new thing that you're bringing through. And that definitely is what it feels like. And like most of my the stuff I've done has been, creating new software or websites, or this even applies. One of the things I've always been driven to do is home renovations. Anything I see that could be revitalized or renewed, it's really hard for me to stop myself from spending hours thinking about what I would change and how I would change it and how I'm going to do it. And learning this about myself, I've been able to let it go a little bit easier, but literally that would drive me as well. Didn't matter where I've lived. I've wanted to renew it all. And I finally, we finally built our own house so I could do it from scratch the way I wanted it. That was the most satisfying thing I ever did, was birth the new house.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So let's get to what Anna said about her children having the other side. So how you get affected when you are connected, the shadow of trait 3 when you don't have trait 3, but you have the other side, you have the 60. So the shadow of trait 3. A lack of order causing depression and feeling stuck. There's a lot of pressure here, and in all formats, strengths can create depression. But here, since you have the melancholy, it's a strong force. So the question is, do you feel stuck? Do you feel melancholy or depression because it feels like nothing's happening? Or do you feel a restless pressure to get moving or remodel the house or whatever is around to do? So the problem, you may experience a deep restlessness, a deep restless pressure to move ahead. Limitations of any kind may feel like roadblocks. And actually, Anna was saying that as well about the line, right? This can cause you to become impatient with the unpredictable process change leading to melancholy, with the potential to deepen and become chronic depression. So the melancholy is actually there for a reason, right? It is for you to kind of muse with your or connect with your creative muse. That's why a lot of beautiful songs, for instance, birth out of melancholy, right? This is the individual creative process. But if you feel bumped by it or want the change to happen and it's unpredictable and you feel melancholic and you are frustrated by it, then it can deepen into chronic depression. So the solution, when you feel you cannot affect change around you, look inward. Accept the mystery of the mutative process and trust that transformation is occurring within you and because of you in the world around you. Working with others will play a key role in bringing order to potential chaos that comes from change. Without it, you can feel unable to move forward. So you will have, so with having the 60, you have this this potential to release, to transcend the limitations actually, and to release something out there for others, to create something new out of the old, had to kind of get to the next paradigm. So that's the three that you have to partner up with to then create the order in the chaos. So Anna, since you have your children having the other side, and you would like to share about that.
Oh, it's fascinating. Like I said, I'm open both in the energy resource and the drive and stamina. My son has the 60, he's defined in both of those. My daughter is defined in the energy resource. So it's a fascinating combination because I've watched them in their creative process. It's not so much a dynamic between us per se. There's tension at different times about processes, but I've watched them with their creative process, and the pressure is so intense. For my son, sometimes he'll have a creative process going on and then it ends for whatever, one reason or another. And he'll hang for a minute, and then he's just so impatient, starts banging around and getting frustrated and all this stuff. He's still in his early 20s. And I keep reminding him, because it's a mom thing, but it's also partly the three. I keep reminding him, do you remember when you were 8 or 10, whatever, you first tried to learn how to type on a computer? He said you were, 2 fingers, and within weeks you were like, he said, yeah, but I was young, and it's like, you're still young, number one, but that's the process. Is at first when you start something, you think it's never going to amount to anything, all this pressure, and you're impatient. But if you have an example, either an example in someone's life of where this process operated and was fulfilled, or if you have an example to share with somebody about the gardening, let's say, or music, then they can start to relate to it. It's like, oh, I did get organized. Boy, once I just started doing it, I knew how to do it. It's like, yeah. My daughter has the open drive and stamina. And she's always sort of at the mercy of moving. We've talked about this a lot because I've helped her move many times. She hates it, but for whatever reason, recently, in the last few years, she's moved from one situation to another for the better. She's a 3-5-2, so she's in that constant experimenting. And I've talked to her about, the 3 is about adapting, it's about change, it's about learning what to do next. It's not failure, it's you make errors and you adjust, you course correct all the time. But I notice when and I could see it before it happens, before we actually have a conversation about it, she gets this very restless, she gets melancholy, and then she gets restless. So she starts trying to fiddle with stuff and fix things and come to my house and fiddle with my stuff. I'm like, stop. I have an order. Everything's in order the way I want it. Leave it alone. It's this sort of joke we have between us. And then she'll go home and start ordering her stuff, her life. But it's fascinating to see, especially with the melancholy, because the melancholy is a low energy state, and most people are really uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
Low energy. It reminds me very much of low tide. If any of you live by the beach or anything you've seen, they're just this sort of barren land that opens up, the tide recedes, and you can't do anything with it. You just observe. And the most important part in melancholy is to move, be moved by that music, be moved by that, by something beauty, whether that's a poem or a puppy or whatever. It's a time to be moved gently. And then once you start sensing that, then the awareness of how that process actually works, I've noticed in people, then they become more comfortable with it. The melancholy doesn't go away, but you become more comfortable with the process of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We actually had a student in class that was still having the individual wave, right? And not really knowing how to work with it. She got stuck in the melancholy. So we kind of also had a beautiful a special session of a bonus class, right? And paying more attention to that. So that was very nice, and in what you share as well. I don't know, Linda, if you observe something in seeing the 3 and the 360 and the other side, being open in this strength.
Yes. Yeah, I recognize a lot with what Anna and Shelley both shared, because I have quite a lot of clients that have either the 3 or the 60 or the full strength. And what I always share with them is the metaphor of a stew pot. Like the drive and stamina, the 60 is the burner, and there's a fuel that is working, and there's a drive to get the food ready. But a stew pot needs time, and you have all those ingredients, and they have to mix and to mingle. And you feel like, oh my goodness, nothing is happening. My burner is not working. Is it hot enough? Is it working? I want to move forward. I also want to do other things on the stove. And suddenly there is this smell. And then you feel like, oh my goodness, the stew pot is ready. And that is the most beautiful thing that can happen, because then something new is coming forward. And then you have to taste new things, or because every stew pot has its own flavor, even though you use the same ingredients. So I recognize the melancholy really with people. And I also recognize that there is a natural timing to this. And that's the same with the beautiful analogy of the garden. I also love gardening, and I feel like I am impatient because I feel the winter is away, spring is coming. Okay, I feel like, okay, get out of the ground now. Please do so, because I love that everything is green and lush. And I also am really waiting for, okay, did every of my plants survive the cold and the winter? And then I feel like, yes, I can see something coming. So, but also for the nature, it is the right timing of the right conditions of sun and moisture, rain, and everything has to be kind of aligned. And what we want as human beings, we want to get control. We want to be in control of when things happen. And because we love, especially when you have the 3 or the 60 or both, when you love the feeling of the new order, of the new mutation, because you know it's exciting. And so you want more of that. That's what I sense with my clients. They want more, because that's so wonderful, because then they get going. Then there's something to do, like a house renovation. Yes, we started and then we finish it. Yes. And then there's calm, because then the process is starting all over again. So yeah, I feel like patience and timing, and that you can accept that there is a natural way of flow in life, and that everything has a purpose, has a meaning at a specific timing that we cannot understand with our minds. I feel like that is bringing you or giving you access to your inner muse of understanding that there's something greater than us at work in life. Just
Yeah.
like in nature, what how do you say it? I don't know how to say it. What is behind the force of nature? What is behind? What is our plants telling? Like, okay, you have to grow. There is something at work that we don't understand, and I feel like life is working its way through us, bringing mutation through us, but we cannot understand
The force behind it.
the force behind it, but also the extent of it, because everything is connected to each other.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel
Beautiful.
about this.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love your analogies as well. So today's quality in trait 3 is the fourth quality. And actually, Anna has the trait 3 in quality 4. So it's the quality of charisma, and it is the influencer, so the influential networker in trait 3 in getting order, right? So the innate quality which attracts valued guidance. So the elevation is a psychic energy which attracts nourishment and ensures ordering. The psychic attunement that magnetizes nurturing. The challenge is confused energy that needs nourishment but is generally rejected. The demands of the ego lead to rejection. So Anna, in your contemplation of your life experience,
Yeah.
how do you see this quality show up?
Well, just like Linda was saying, if you demand control, if you demand, that energy of being human, of trying to create order rather than seeing that there is order, experiencing that there is order, I can relate to the challenge of wanting things to be in order, and used to be very uncomfortable with messy disorder. So I can relate to the challenge, because it's not just a personal rejection, but a rejection of other things too.
Mhm.
You're in that demanding mode, and it doesn't have to be that obvious. It's just that internal, I want it this way, I want it my way, without understanding or without having some flexibility of, oh, this is the way it is, life is this way, and it doesn't have to be, there doesn't have to be any lack present in the way that things are ordered. And as far as the elevation, I've always felt guided, and not only by people, but by spirit, by very deep communal experiences that I've had, that I don't want to go into all the explanations of, but yes, being tuned into something as simple as feeling melancholy, walking down the street. And the other day, I was just fussing a little bit with something, trying to kind of relax about something that was very tense. And it was not a lot of effort, but I was just taking a walk. And I thought, I need to move, let something move within me. And there was a bird sitting on this wall, chirping away. Actually, there were several of them, but one in particular I felt was like chirping, talking to me. The energy frequency was very in sync. I thought, oh, there it is. That's just that little signal of, oh, nature, things are in order. life is happening. I don't have to fight or worry or muse or think too hard, Shelley. You know, I have the same thing. You know, I don't have to figure it out. Life is in order. So that's just a mini thing, but I've had very deep relationships with people and with nature that somehow I've always felt guidance.
Yes, it's beautiful what you shared, like what was shared before about it's not about control and about just letting nature and life take hold, but also it's not, you cannot figure it out with the mind. And you cannot figure the melancholy out. You cannot fix it. It will, you know, in flows come back. It's just there. Yeah. Anything for you, Shelley or Linda, you want to add here?
I love that, what you shared, Anna, and recognize it in myself as well. I have this in quality 2, so I'm not sure what that is about, but definitely that over time learning that forcing, pushing, or trying to control anything doesn't really work. And in the end, just causes a lot of frustration and a draining of energy. So being able to kind of just feel this and feel the flow that it comes with that pulse. And just I think I got to the place where I just sense it now. I just pay attention to when I feel it coming and letting it flow through, do its thing. And I have to say that I love to order and organize things. So I heard you say that too, Anna. You like things ordered and organized the way you like them. And I definitely have realized that too, that the way I like to organize things may not be the way someone else likes them organized. So staying open when working with a larger group to, you know, get feedback from everybody to make sure what I'm organizing is actually going to work for everybody else as well. So yeah, it's just really great to have a better understanding of this after having lived with it for my whole life.
Yeah. Beautiful. Linda, did you want to share or shall we go? Yes.
Well, just a little bit that I feel like this is a confirmation, and also what Anna shared, that life works through us.
Yeah.
And it wants the best for us. So new things are being brought through us in a way, and there is an attunement, there is a guidance. And if we are aware, and also I feel like accept that melancholy is a natural process, because we are conditioned in our society that we only have to feel good.
Yeah.
Because we do everything to feel good, and to have a quick fix if we don't feel good. But I think that lots of people have empowerment in their design, because this is part of empowerment, and that all works in a pulse. That I feel like if we can embrace that it's a part of life, also it's a ordering process in life. You have to feel sometimes more low in your energy to feel also the other side of the energy, and to understand what it means. And also what you shared, Natalie, in the beginning, there are so many artists that in times of melancholy, they bring forward the most beautiful love songs, because they have experienced the low side of life and can then reflect on what's happening and bring a new song forward that can help other people transform or mutate their feelings as well. So
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Let's take a look at the celebrity that has the life work theme and their conscious core essence in trait 3, quality 4. So this is Miranda Kerr. We practiced this before, because if I say it in Dutch, it's Miranda Kerr. So Miranda Kerr, an Australian model and businesswoman. So she's one of Victoria's Secret's angel, and Youre was the first Australian Victoria's Secret's model and also represented the Australian department store chain David Jones. Youre has launched her own brand of organic skincare products, Cora Organics, and has written a self-help book. So her life work theme is laws. You approach the way we create, shape, and change our laws and values like art. Our laws determine how we deal with others, with each other, and bring order to society. So an interesting design and life work in and of itself.
I don't know this celebrity per se, but I like the way that, this trait is not only about personal experience, but it's about how we order society too, how there is natural order in societies as well, if we're allowing processes to work in time, then things stay in order.
Yeah, it's fascinating that you say that, because we were actually discussing this in OC16. It is an individual strength with individual empowerment, but it is also a leadership strength in the large organization and the world at large. So we live in OC16s in energy in the world. So it has a particular role to innovate in our society, and the only way we evolve as human beings and the evolution is moving forward is through this individuality in people, and it's serving the larger good. So that is interesting to think of, that actually the individuality is what serves the collective and the tribe to move forward. Yeah. Shelley?
Yeah, and just even listening to this is reminding me the other part of my life. I always have seemed to have been on these two tracks, one around technology, but the other around personal care, personal growth, body care. I spent a lot of from my teenage years until just even recently, bringing in new health products and making people aware of new emerging health products that could make life better for everyone. And the couple of lines that I followed are now the biggest sellers in the world in really great natural care products. So, and I have also created my own line of organic skincare that a few years ago I've always made my own body care products because I always wanted just really natural stuff. I'm really sensitive to things. And so that's another thing that's just kind of come through me with all of the elements in place at the right time. I've never taken it anything further than just friends and family. And I now just sell in a little local farmer's market here. But people say to me, you should make this, you should sell this bigger. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. That's a lot of work. I don't have the support to do it in my design by myself. I need other people, I guess. But so it's really fascinating that's kind of been a really deep driving force for me too, is to be doing things that are going to make life better for people through natural care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And also personal, mental, and emotional health and awareness. And I feel like BG5 is one of those newly emerging things that is another tool that I get to share with people to make the world a better place.
Yay.
Yay.
Linda, did you want to say something? Okay. Yeah, so it is fascinating. It's always nice to see celebrities, even though we don't know them literally, but we can see what they have achieved, and then it kind of speaks to their design. So wonderful. All right, so if you like, and if you don't know your own personal design yet, you can download your free personalized chart on our website and create your free career design, and then also a short report if you want to. And furthermore, you can visit our website to subscribe to the trade of the day. In BG5 Live and subscribe, and then you get each day an email about what trade and what quality we are at. With a little description, and you can watch all of our past episodes in our free resource library. And also new classes are starting. So tomorrow I'm starting a new BG5 consultant certification course. If you have done the foundation course or the human design foundations, you can join us, and you can actually also join us just for the free trial class if you're interested. And in May, all of the other courses will pick back up. So you can take a look at our website, when courses start. But we're right at the point of starting new classes. So join us May 4th for the mini summit, and you can find it in the special programs. And we hope to see you there as well as that we would love to see you next week again in BG5 Live. So thank you all for being here. And to wrap things up, I would love for our panelists to give just something to get through the week, or some wisdom that you want to share, some empowerment, some inner knowing that comes to the surface for trade 3 that we have the energy this week. And actually the 360 as it is, the full strength. Linda.
Yes. I feel like be patient. Maybe you feel that you want to move something forward, to bring something new into the world, or to order things. But as I mentioned before, everything has its own timing and has its own natural flow. So be patient, be aware, and know that even though you may feel that nothing is happening, suddenly it may happen for you. And accept that melancholy is part of the human experiential way, or the experience that we have here. And be patient, and also be curious about what may occur in your life. And maybe this week that you feel like, oh, yay, this is not what I had expected. And also maybe you can feel that there's some difficulty at the beginning because you feel like, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know have to drive. I don't know how to do things, but everything will fall into place, and follow your decision-making strategy as always. And then,
Beautiful.
It will be wonderful. Yeah.
Anna?
I guess my closing reference would be around the idea that you're stuck. A lot of people that look for coaching or therapy, or have a backache or whatever, have a problem per se, perceive it as I'm stuck in some way. And this, to me, the 3 tells you you're never stuck. It's about timing. And if you feel the tension, it's about how we interpret it, because your mind can get very busy. Oh, there's this limit and this limit, and I can't, and I won't, or they won't, or somebody else won't let me, or whatever. Your mind can go a million different directions about what isn't happening. But one of the things that the 3 is about is subtlety, I think, and it demands some awareness. It's not stuck. The movements are more subtle. So if you're feeling tension, you're feeling stuck per se, as an example, go for a walk, sing that song, read a poem, go walk in a garden with flowers, whatever your thing is, but allow some movement literally in your body, shake your shoulders or do some yoga or whatever your thing is, but allow the subtlety of the energy to sort of infiltrate that line, that we in our diagram, because the 3 can be about subtlety until it's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Shelley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's coming for me is this the 3 and the 60, and since they're both lit up right now, it's really, really creative energy too. So pay attention to what you feel you're wanting to create. That may be something new you're trying to bring through at this time, and just be aware that that energy is there to support that for you. And that, specifically with the 3 is like everyone else has said, having the patience to recognize that it's a process. It's not an on or off switch. It's a process that's moving through you. It moves through each of us. And you may feel it coming through you, or you may just be noticing it happening for people around you, or happening just in the world in general. Notice what new things are all of a sudden coming forth in this, this week. What new products or services or things are you seeing in the world around you being birthed right now? And it might take a little bit of time. It might be in the weeks after this pressure is here to allow that new creative thing to come through. But I love this strength because it is so creative, and the act of just creating something new is so fun and rewarding and empowering to be able to do. So play with it. See what you can create.
You can just hear the strength talking in Shelley. It's so funny.
I'm so happy to know that this is where this comes from. I've struggled with this my whole life, not understanding where this creative energy came from. So I'm really happy to know about it. But I just feel like, get your Play-Doh out and your paint set and your anything you want to play with, and see what you come up with. It's a fun time for that.
So thank you all. So observe yourself around you, the chaos, confusion, and the ordering process, the creative ordering process, and be patient. It is a process, and as Shelley says, new things may be birthed this week, but before they're ordered into a new process, it may take a while. So thank you all for being here, and I'm looking forward to see you all next week. And I will still be hosting until Karen is back from her little break. All right, so take care, and see you all next week again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.